Eves. Step forward, please, all parties.
Vita Scott fell in love with a guy named Ransom Eves. She says he totaled her car and her checking account.
Order. All rise. Judges number 59 on the calendar in the matter of Scott versus Eves.
Thanks, Kurt.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Scott, I gather from your papers that you had sort of a short-term romance with the defendant.
It was a friendship. At the end, it was, right before it ended, a little thing happened, but then that was no more after that. It started as a friendship.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
And when did it end?
About January 13th.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah, it seemed like a long time, though.
Well, some marriages feel like they're forever. And in that short period of time, you say you lent him $1,000 and he won't pay you back.
I said that $1,000 may have exceeded the amount, but the usage of my vehicle, I couldn't put an amount on that.
Let's hear the story.
Well, it started, our first time we actually got together was at my hairdresser's Christmas party. Here's a picture of us together at the Christmas party. That's our first night together. And thereafter, the second night, he asked me to borrow $20 for gas, okay?
Well, what did he say?
He just said, can I ask you a favor? And I says, what? He says, can I borrow some gas money? And I'm like, yeah, sure, okay. So then...
So you gave him $20?
Yes, that was $20. That's the first night. And that he was over visiting. That was the 22nd of December. And then we drank champagne that night and, just talked and everything. So then, as time went on, we talk almost every night. We're talking every night, really. Okay, then on the 25th, he asked to borrow $20. He had his twins over for Christmas. He didn't get no food from the Christmas gathering at his family's house because it started a fight.
How did he ask you for this $20?
Well, he called up and he had his twins over there, and one twin got sick. The boy got sick and was asking to go home, and so he was stating that he didn't get no food because they was fighting at the Christmas gathering that he had went to.
How did he ask you for the money? What did he say?
Can I borrow some money to get some food? I don't have any food in my house.
And so what'd you do? So
after he came by with the little girl, and I lent him $20, and we also gave the little girl the movie Matilda to watch. Okay. Then on the 26th, now he told me when I met him, he had previous engagements. Okay.
Previous engagements? You mean previous things that he had to do?
Yeah, previous engagements stating the dates were the 27th, the 29th, and the 31st. And this is because he had another...
Did you write all these things down as they were happening?
No. I just remember as it went on because of the dates that he had to take care of the previous dates with this lady named Shirley who he's brought with him. See, this was a friend of his that he had besides me.
So he told you right up front on the 26th that he had dates with this other lady on certain times.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
And you said okay.
Okay, so yeah, he had previous dates to go with somebody on the 27th. 27th was her birthday, the 29th, the 31st. 31st was New Year's Eve, right? So anyway, but that night he comes over, he asked to borrow $100. He didn't state no reason why, but we're getting ready to go to the movies that night. He just insists. He gets paid on the 30th.
So he has to borrow $100?
Right. The night before we get ready to go to the movies.
And so you gave him $100?
I lent him $100.
Okay.
Okay, so he works for Juvenile Hall, so I didn't feel like that was a problem because, he does have a job. So anyway, on the way to the movie, a drunk driver hits and totals his car out, runs out in the stoplight and totals the car out. Okay, at that point we find out I have the police report. He has no insurance, okay? And he's a peace officer, he has no insurance. So then he needs to borrow another $100. So the first $100 that he borrowed, he needs to borrow another $100 because that's not going to cover the tow, okay?
So he asked you for another $100?
Correct.
And you gave it to him?
Okay, yeah, to have his car towed to my house.
Another $100?
Right. Okay, now... He pays back 200 of the money, okay?
So now we're down to 40.
To 140.
No, we're down to 40.
Okay, yeah, he pays back 200 of the money.
Right, and he owes you 240. Now he owes you 40.
Okay, so then he goes, he needs to open up a checking account to get another car. He got his car from Statewide. This place called Statewide that salvages car. Okay, so in order to get a card from State White, you have to have a checking account so you can write a check all the way up to the card notes that you have. He had messed up his first checking account. So I have a checking account at Wells Fargo, so I took him to Wells Fargo on Vons in California to meet the representative, Michael Turner, helped him open a checking account. There he borrows $50 to buy some groceries while we're opening up the checking
What
account.
did he say to you?
Vita, can I get some milk and bananas and cereal? And then he says, can I borrow some money to get some milk, bananas, and cereal, right? So I gave him a $50 bill, and he uses it all of it but about a couple of dollars. In the meantime, we're opening up the checking account. He's not even paying attention to that.
How much money did he put in the checking account?
$5. You put $5 in a checking account. At that one, yeah, they let him put $5 in there.
Do you feel as if you're getting whipped?
Yeah, I'm waiting for my turn.
And that's the way.
You sure are.
Yeah, and that's the way, Your Honor, he's good. He has a master's in communications.
Let's go.
He's good. Okay, and that's the way he throws it at you, just that fast.
Just a second. Right now he's standing there being very quiet.
You know what? That's good. He
Probably
needs to.
saying to himself, why didn't I give this lady back her money?
He should have. And wait a minute. Then on the 15th, when I take him to the American Fair, when he goes to the American Fair Credit to get a Visa, right, is a $55 initial fee. He tells me that he got his check garnished on the 15th. So he
How
can't pay
much
me my
more money
money
did he borrow from
He
you?
borrowed
Miss Scott?
altogether $200 more after that. That's.
And you can tell me chapter and verse of every penny.
Everything, right? I could tell you, because I think back to, I keep track of it. That's what he used to say. Oh, man, you keep track of it day for day, money for money. That's right.
So far, we're up to $390.
Okay. Then I was like exceeding the limit because he used my card periodically all the time.
That's your problem. You
Okay,
shouldn't have let
right.
him use
And
the
he
card.
just took it to the extreme, Your Honor. He was very good, right? Very good. But then at the end, okay, he comes by. My little girl has a touch of pneumonia on the 15th. I'm at work. He has 2 of my CDs and my Rolodex. He comes by and brings the 2 CDs and the Rolodex and tell my little girl, tell me he'll pay me next payday. Now, before we get to the...
Before you get to what?
The 29th, where, okay, next payday comes around, right?
He didn't pay you so
He
far.
doesn't pay, right?
He owes you $390.
Right. So next payday comes, I think it's like the 28th, and he says, don't be harassing me. I told you if I have time, I'll squeeze you in. If I can't, I won't, right? So then the 30th comes, and he says, I couldn't squeeze you in, so, whatever. So he's talking mess on the phone. He says, you keep on talking mess, I won't pay you at all. I said, click, and went right to the courthouse and filed on him.
Do you want...
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You mean she didn't give you a $20 bill?
No, she didn't.
No, that didn't happen. What about money for a haircut?
Haircut out of the question.
You mean she's making all this up?
Yes, she is.
Vita Scott fell in love with a guy named Ransom Eves. She says he totaled her car and her checking account.
As I stated in my statement before, as far as all the accusations in the store, the part, she asked me to get her something to eat for her kids, so I asked her, can I get something too? So she gave me the money, and I bought her what she needed, and also some of the things that I needed also. Next question.
Tell her the things you bought me.
Just a second. What do you want me to ask him?
I want him to know what he bought me that day when he shot for him. Since he said he shot for me too, that's why he got something too.
Well, she sent me.
Did she give you? Yeah.
She sent me to the store often just to send me to the store. After my car was wrecked, I was pretty hurt because, I had other things planned, and I just was gonna go to the movies with her just to be her friend. But after the car, I kind of didn't want to be around her. I didn't want nothing to do with her. So she pretty much showered me with gifts and gave me money.
Mr.
and things
Reed,
of that.
she gave you money.
Well, seeing that I needed it, she offered it to me that she had it.
How much do you earn a year?
Say $35,000 a year.
You earn $35,000 a year. You had to borrow $20 for her for food?
Very much so, ma'am.
So you borrowed the $20 for her for food, right?
No, she offered it to me because I told her I didn't have any money. So she offered me the money, and I wasn't going to turn down the money at the time because...
What about the towing of your car to her house? Well, you gave her back $200.
Right.
But that didn't cover the other money that she gave you.
But the money that she supposedly gave me was a part of like sending me on missions as far as going to stores and different errands that she wanted me to do for her.
You mean so that the things that you bought were things for her or were things for you?
It was things for her.
No, that's not what you just told me a moment ago. You said that you needed money for food for your kids, and so she gave you the money.
No, she stated that I needed food for my kids, but I told her that I didn't have it, and since she was going to the store already, she said, come on, I'll go ahead and buy the food for you then.
You mean she didn't give you a $20 bill?
No, she didn't.
And you didn't come over to her house at another time where she gave you another $20 bill?
No.
No, that didn't happen. What about money for a haircut?
Haircut, out of the question.
You mean she's making all this up?
Yes, she is.
And I'm quoting you. At the present moment, I have lost my car and have other bills to pay at this time.
Right.
I even begged her to stop calling me and that I would be giving her $100 for the gifts that she gave me after the accident. She agreed that she would wait until February 14th for me to give her the money.
Yes.
But the next thing I know, she filed a small claims case.
Exactly.
Did you ever give her the money?
Did
you ever give her the money?
No.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You did like him. You were more interested in him than he was interested in you. He wants to break it off, and you're not ready to do that. So I'm telling you, you're a nice lady. Get over it.
Vida Scott fell in love with a guy named Ransom Eves. She says he totaled her car and her checking account.
Miss Scott.
Yes, Your Honor.
Listen to me. I think he owes you some money.
He does.
I don't think he probably owes you $390, but I think he owes you some.
Yeah,
Listen to me.
Okay.
I think he owes you some. What he's saying is that you like him. You did like him. You were more interested in him than he was interested in you. He wants to break it off, and you're not ready to do that. So I'm telling you, you're a nice lady. Get over it.
It's been over with. I'm telling you.
Perfect. Don't call him anymore.
Don't have to.
Don't write him anymore.
Don't need to.
Very good. It's over. He doesn't want to know about you anymore, and you look like a lovely, handsome-looking woman, and
don't need it.
You don't need it.
When he wrecked that car, his whole world shattered.
Absolutely right. I want you to look into my eyes and tell me, to the best of your recollection, how much money did you take? You say borrow. She says borrow. You say gift. How much money did you take from her that you have not given back?
$100, that the gift that she gave. That's about basically it.
Okay. You say he owes you $390?
Yeah.
You got the cards to prove it?
Yes.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $390. Thank you. That's
All right, it's all excused. You may step out.
It wasn't a relationship.
You know, I'm just glad that it's over with and that, you know, I'm getting paid, and I hope that other women see this, that get his story right. He is just out of it, right? He is pitiful. I told him in advance, don't play with me, that I wasn't no joke. And he still kept trying to come back. And he got what he got his, and I'm glad about it. And everybody's gonna see it. Too bad, you lose. That's it.
And now,
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And
Ramos versus Taylor. Step forward, please.
30-year-old Diana Ramos says she met mortgage broker Mark Taylor in a nightclub and later loaned him money, which he never repaid.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Excuse me. They don't care. Judges number 179 on the calendar in the matter of Ramos versus Taylor.
I care, Bird.
Okay. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
All right, Miss Ramos, for some reason that I don't understand that you're going to tell me, you lent this man some money.
Yes, ma'am.
You say you have a note to prove it.
Yes, I do.
He says he paid you
No, he hasn't.
and that he can prove it. So first, Miss Ramos, you want to tell me why you lent him money in the first place, how much you lent him, and when he was supposed to pay you back.
I loaned him $700.
When?
This was in May.
Why?
I felt sorry for him
Why?
because he told me that he needed money to pay rent.
Well, how long had you known him before you gave him the $700?
I met him earlier that month
Where?
at a bar.
Did you, other than just meeting him at the bar, did you become friends? Did you date?
Yes, friends.
Just friends? From the time you met him at the bar until the time you gave him the $700, how many times did you see him?
Quite a few times.
2 times, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times.
Probably about 10 times.
Where did you see him? I'm trying to figure out why you would lend him $700.
Where did I see him?
Yeah.
I would call him, and then we made arrangements to for my mortgage loan.
Is that your business, sir?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
You're a mortgage broker?
Yes, I am.
How long have you been a mortgage broker?
2.5 years.
How many mortgages have you brokered?
I'll probably, on an estimate, if the market's doing good, about 10 to 15 a month, if I'm lucky.
And you've been lucky?
Yeah.
Yeah? So what'd you need $700 for from her?
Well, what happened, basically, is I met her and a friend at a bar, okay? I was talking to the friend at first, and then I told her, I said, I'm not going to be disrespectful. I'd like to talk to you, but no dice. Well, this continued. We called each other for lunch. We seen each other for lunch, and she's kicking it with me and everything. And
She's what?
She's hanging out with me. You know, we went to lunch together. We were sitting there talking.
Did you say she's kicking it?
Yeah, that's just what she's doing. So, you know, to make a long story short, we got to talking about some personal things, and we made an agreement. She said she didn't have to go back to work. We went to the house. We spent the night with each other, okay? It's not 10 or 15 times. She's at my house every day. She took me to work every day. So what was happening is during this time, I left one company to start another one. They were having some problems with their payroll, so I asked her to do me a favor. She did it, and I said, no problem, I would pay her back. She's saying I never gave her any money. I did give her a form of $200 in cash when they had paid me, okay? During this time...
Prove it.
Oh, well, you know, she knows I gave it to her, and I'm not going to fight that. But during this time, I made an agreement with her. I told her, I said, well, Diana, check this out. I have a compensation agreement. I could lower my fees and what I'm going to charge you for the loan. And if you take that form of payment that way, you know, then I won't owe you anything. She agreed to it. Okay, then the holiday kicked off. 4th of July, she calls me up, 911 on my pager. I call her back. So she's telling me that her daughter, okay, who was leaving to go to San Antonio, had told her boyfriend about us and everything. So the boyfriend's on the phone, and he's raising sand and this, that, and the other.
Raising
so I asked
sand.
her, you know,
Kicking in.
basically.
Just a second, let me get this. I like to learn something new every day, sir. Kicking in.
Kicking
it.
Kicking it.
Kicking it. And raising sand.
Yeah.
Raising sand. In English.
In other words, he's being very hostile.
Order.
Okay? He's being very hostile about this situation that he's been told about me and her being together and sleeping with each other. So I asked her, what do you want me to do? And she said, well, I don't want you to tell him. I said, you know that's going to cost you. Okay, she agreed to it. I said, you know that's going to cost you to keep my mouth shut because I was getting tired of being the number 2 guy.
Let me try to understand this in English. You say that the loan that she made to you of $700 was forgiven by her because you agreed to, just don't shake your head anything, I'm just trying to understand this, because you agreed to keep your mouth shut and not tell her boyfriend that you had slept with her.
Exactly.
Exactly! Mr. Taylor, kicking it, I didn't understand. raising sand?
Raising sand.
Raising sand, I don't understand. But I want to ask you if you understand the following phrase. Did you ever hear this phrase? Blackmail.
No, I wasn't blackmailing her. Not at all, because she asked me not to tell him. When she called me, I asked her what was this about. She said, Jennifer told John
Gotcha, I understand
what's going
that.
on. Okay, so I wasn't blackmailing anyone.
Somebody told the boyfriend, according to you, I'm not even going to ask you if this is true, but somebody told the boyfriend, she asked you not to confirm that with the boyfriend.
Yes.
And you said, I'll do it. I won't. I'll tell him it's not true if you forgive this loan.
It wasn't in part of the loan. When I said you're going to pay for that, it had nothing to do with,
well,
with
I
the
don't
loan
understand. What is
part
the
of
pay? You're going to pay for this. What did that mean?
In other words, what I meant to her, she was going to pay for it, is that we were going to have a long talk about me having to, you know, bow down and not tell him what really was going on. Because the thing about it was, I felt like I was going to pay for it, because when I seen him...
Were you, just a second, Mr. Taylor, were you hurt and offended, sir?
Yeah, I was.
Were you mortally wounded?
No.
No. You don't look as if you were mortally wounded, sir.
Oh, I wasn't?
It doesn't appear to me as if you were mortally wounded, sir. So let me understand this. You had, according to you, an evening of frolic with the plaintiff.
It was more
Plus,
than an evening.
Let's say 2 evenings. Let's
No,
say 5 evenings.
every night for the last
Every
3
night.
weeks.
You had every night of frolic with the plaintiff.
Yeah.
And she had every night of frolic with you.
There you go.
Good. And you have her $700.
No. Wrong.
Oh, yeah?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He wanted a relationship with me. And I didn't want anything to do with him.
You're right. It takes two to tango. She had to do something.
And later today,
I don't think that it's right for anybody to slash anybody's tires. So if you did that, that was really, really wrong. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Very, very bad.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mortgage broker Mark Taylor claims Diana Ramos is angry that he broke off their secret affair. Diana says she just wants her money back.
Did he give you the $200?
No.
Did he give you any money?
Yes.
How much?
100.
Okay. Could you prove that you gave her more than $100, sir?
No, because at the
All
time...
right, so let's say you now owe her $600.
That's not what the case was.
Just a second. How much money did you pay her back?
I gave her $100 in cash, and then I gave her on 2 occasions $50. So it's totaling to $200, and she knows it because she took me to cash the checks when I gave it to her.
Assuming that that's true, that you gave her $200, where's the other $5?
I agreed to, as a part of this mortgage loan, because I have a compensation agreement on her, as well as a good faith estimate that was provided, and a mortgage origination statement. And I said, look, I'll deduct the difference of the money of what I owe you off the fees. I didn't hear anything else about it.
Did you agree to it? Did you agree to that?
No.
Did you buy this house?
No.
She's still
You didn't buy the house?
No, I didn't agree to anything.
Well, so what did she get from it, sir?
It's to be determined.
Just a second. She didn't buy the house. She didn't use the mortgage.
She's still pending. It's to be determined. She was purchasing a new home. All I was doing was creating the financing. She knew that she needed to go out and find a home. And I have the compensation agreement that's still good on you to the 3rd of October right here, that this is what was going to be performed up until those calendar days.
Right now, she didn't do anything. She didn't agree to anything. You owe her the money, sir. Did you ever hear the expression? You heard kicking it? Mm-hmm. Sanding, what? Sanding?
Raising sand.
Raising sand, right?
She
Did you ever
agreed to
hear,
that.
don't mix business with pleasure?
Of
Did you ever
course.
hear that? So, don't mix business with pleasure, sir. You borrowed money from somebody as a friend because you were between paychecks. Mm-hmm. And then you wanted to have a sort of work it off on this thing,
No.
on this agreement that you had.
I told her she could take that or I would pay her back. And even
Well,
on the promissory note, asked her to provide a promissory note to you, because I told her that if I didn't agree to pay her by the 17th of July, that we would make arrangements to have it settled. I did not hear from Mrs. Ramos. The next thing,
You acknowledge, sir, that you had to sign a promissory note.
right, but
That you signed it. Let me see the note.
She had
Here,
it.
let me see the note, please. You were supposed to pay her, sir, half by the 17th of July. Did you pay her half?
Correct. No.
Good. Then you defaulted.
That's because she had made other arrangements with me prior to that date.
I don't believe you.
Okay. Well,
I don't believe
could
you.
ask
I
her.
don't believe you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe you. And I don't believe you. I
Then
think
when I was served the paper, she documented on there that she failed to call me. That is not what the case was. She called my place of employment and personally put this through someone else. I called her place of employment, told them, look, we're having a personal problem over something. I would like
it's
for her
not a personal problem, sir. She lent you $700. You were supposed to pay for it 2.5 months ago. You didn't pay for it. And then you started to do a tap dance. A, you said, I won't tell your boyfriend, but it's going to cost you.
No, that
B,
wasn't
that's according
the
to
case.
you. You said that 2 seconds ago, sir.
Yeah.
B, we'll work it out in this deal. I'll take less in my commission. I'll take less in my commission than I would ordinarily charge you, and we'll call it even. As far as I'm concerned, Mr. Taylor, if a friend lends you $700 in your time of need, you ought to do this mortgage agreement for no commission.
No.
No, listen to me, sir. For nothing. If you were in a bind,
okay.
If you were in a bind, as you were, I'm sure that you wouldn't go and ask this lady for money if you weren't really in a bind. And she helped you.
That's not how that went off.
It would seem to me, that's what you said. You said I was between checks and I needed some help.
She volunteered to do it.
Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $700. Get him out of here.
Parties are excused.
Yeah.
Step out.
You got your money back, but you know you was doing me and doing John
I
at the
don't
same
think so.
time. Ask him. Bring him down here. He'll tell you. John, if you get to see this, buddy, like I told you in Texaco, been there, done that, got the T-shirt. Have a good one.
And now,
Thank you that the knight in shining armor came and took you
Away. Good.
and now the next case.
Parties on Taylor versus Guillaume. Step forward, please.
50-year-old Hallie Taylor is suing 46-year-old bus driver Patricia Guillaume because of emotional distress while they both lived in the home of a former boyfriend named Lee Coleman. Patricia is countersuing for malicious prosecution.
Well, this is a very unusual complaint and countersuit. You're Lee?
Yes.
The cause of all the trouble. According to these papers, Ms. Taylor, you unfortunately became homeless.
Yes.
Lee was a friend of yours.
Yes.
At first, he said that you could sleep in your car in his driveway,
Yes.
but then said, why don't you move into the house? Is that right?
Yes.
Just to be kind.
Yes.
Shortly thereafter, Lee over here extends an invitation to this young lady to also come to the house to rent a room. Is that right?
Yes.
No, that's reverse. That's reverse. That's not. Pat was already there.
This is Pat.
Right.
Lee, you want to step up here? Don't talk to me sitting.
Okay.
I like when you stand when you talk to me. So come
Okay.
on up here. She was already living there when you invited Miss Taylor to come in to the house?
Yes.
For how long?
Oh, I was still moving my things in. And when I had gotten the last of my belongings in, then he had informed me that she was going to be living there.
Bottom line is, at about the same moment, these two women came into your house.
That's not true.
Within days of each other?
Yes.
Lee, sit down. Within days, you both found yourself living with Lee. You had no idea she was going to be there, and you had no idea she was going to be there.
Yes, I knew she was going to be there because he had already had rented her the room.
But she wasn't living there already?
No.
Okay. And the two of you didn't get along?
No.
You two?
Yes.
And you say because you didn't get along, she caused you all kinds of stress, high blood pressure, hypertension, and you wanted to pay you $5,000.
Yes.
And you are suing her for malicious prosecution.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
She's saying another thing. If I want to F Lee, I wouldn't wait till you leave. I'll F him while you here.
Lee, having two women live in your home is not a good idea.
I don't know that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 50-year-old Hallie Taylor is suing 46-year-old bus driver Patricia Guillaume because of emotional distress while they both lived in the home of a former boyfriend named Lee Coleman. Patricia is countersuing for malicious prosecution.
All right, this is not going to take very long, Miss Taylor. Tell me how she caused you stress.
From day one, Pat aggravated me. She antagonized me.
Give me an example.
There are two incidents that took place. The first incident took place in the garage. We were in the garage talking. Lee, Pat. First was Lee and Pat. And then all of a sudden, and she said, your girlfriend. And I was standing over there by the back of his truck. And she rushed over there to me and got in my face and she said, don't you use my bathroom. Incident number two, she stated she wanted to have a talk face to face. Lee got us together with Lee present. We started talking. She did the talking first. She says, I don't like you. She said, I think you're nasty. I think you're a liar. I think you're a con woman. And I think you're not trustworthy. I said, well, Pat, I don't see how you can make all these consumptions about me. You don't know me for about 2 weeks. And then when she finished, I said, you finished saying what you have to say? So then I said what I had to say.
Well, what did you say?
I said, well, Pat, I can't help if you don't like me. But the things that you were saying about me is not true. That's not me. Okay. And before I said something else, and she said another thing. If I want to F Lee, I wouldn't wait till you leave. I'll F him while you here. And I said, well, go ahead.
That's honest.
Go ahead. I mean, I care less.
Okay.
And then she walked over to me and she rushed up in my face. I mean, she was so close, I felt the breath, her warm breath from her mouth.
What'd she
say? And her left breath touching my left shoulder. And then Lee saw that the conversation wasn't going anywhere, so he stepped in between us.
So those are the two incidents that you're complaining about?
Yes, and each incident I went to the hospital.
Miss Taylor, those were two what we call conversations, not worthy of a lawsuit. She didn't hit you. She didn't threaten you.
Oh, yes, she did.
No, not in the two instances you told me.
Yeah,
it's not a lawsuit.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
All right. Countersue. What are you countersuing her for?
Well, this whole thing, it annoyed me. It annoyed me because
Miss Guillaume, this whole thing annoys me. Let me tell you something.
too.
It's late. And I'm getting annoyed.
What had happened, once I had picked up the suit, I had sued Lee, Mr. Coleman, and...
What'd you sue him for?
I wanted my money back.
You mean the money that you gave him for your apartment?
Yes, what had happened...
Did you get it?
Yes, I did.
You did? Good. Well, that's good. Mm-hmm. Lee, having two women live in your home is not a good idea.
I don't know that.
Miss Taylor, Miss Guillaume, this is not a case that belongs in court. This gentleman made a very bad judgment. He was probably trying to be a good guy. This gentleman made a very bad judgment. He was probably trying to be a good guy. I don't think he was trying to be bad. I think he was a friend of yours. He was trying to help you out. I don't think he thought anything wrong with the three of you living nicely together. You look like three nice people. You could live nicely together.
Yeah, the Golden Girls do it.
What? The Golden Girls do it? He's cute. All right. Go have a nice day. Lawsuit and the countersuit are dismissed.
What is your excuse? You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue. And now the next case.
Parties on Urea versus Snyder. Step forward, please.
21-year-old Christy Urea says she and 24-year-old Christian Snyder were engaged to be married until she caught him cheating. She's suing for credit card bills and wedding expenses.
How old are you?
24.
Young looking. You're lucky.
Thank you.
But not smart. Because according to this complaint, you were engaged to the boss's daughter.
That would be me.
And you had a little tryst with somebody in the office. And then the engagement was over. And she says that you owe her money from all the things that she spent for the wedding and some other credit card bills. And you signed a note. And then she said you didn't pay. Is that what this is about?
Yes, he stopped paying. He had been paying for a
Okay,
while.
so that's pretty much what this is about.
Mm-hmm.
Was he working for your father at the time that you became engaged? Is that how you met him?
No, it's not.
Because becomes important in this story later. He said he was coerced into signing this note. So who was he working for when you met him?
He was working for an automotive shop somewhere down in Montclair.
As a mechanic?
Yes, I believe so, yeah.
And how long did you know him before he came to work for your father?
Probably a little over a year.
Is that right?
That's about right, yeah.
And what kind of business does your father have?
An automotive repair shop.
So it was the same kind of business?
Yes.
And what were you doing for her father? Working as a mechanic?
Yeah, and also helping run the office.
Do you have any brothers?
Yes, I have a brother.
Does he work in the business?
No.
Do you have any other sisters?
I have a sister, yes.
Does she work in the business?
No.
So there you have a business that could grow into a business that's yours. Did that ever occur to you?
Yeah.
And you became engaged when?
March of this year.
And you made certain preparations?
Yes, we did.
Like what?
Well, we reserved the chapel to get married. I have wedding invitations that we had made up. I had a dress. My girls got their dresses.
Stop playing. Look at me. When was this wedding supposed to take place?
August 30th.
And tell me when the engagement was broken.
That's July, beginning of July.
By whom and why?
By him, because he said he needed to find himself, and then I found out he was sleeping with one of the girls from my dad's work.
How did you find that out?
Because his mother called me at midnight and told me, because I guess she'd gone by his mom's house.
The girl had gone by his mom's house? Did you confront him with that?
Yep.
What'd he say?
He tried to talk his way around it, and I went to the girl's house, and his car was there, and he admitted to it. And then he tried to come back to me after that, and then he went back to her, and he played a game for a little while.
Did you tell your father?
Oh, yes.
So you were willing to go through with this wedding, even though you found out that he was fooling around. So
oh no,
because you said he broke the engagement.
Yes, he broke the engagement.
By having this affair?
No, well, that's not. That's the reason why, but that's not the reason he gave me.
What was the reason he gave you?
He needed time alone. He needed to find himself.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Same girlfriend that you were meeting with while you were engaged to her?
At the time, there was nothing going on, but...
Just visiting?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Christy Urea called off her wedding when she discovered her fiancé, Christian Snyder, was cheating. She's suing for wedding expenses and credit card bills. Christian says he paid Christy's college tuition, making them even.
So then you signed a note, right?
Yes.
It's right here.
Well, show it to him because that'll make it easier. I don't have to show him the copy that I have. That the note that you signed, sir?
Yes.
Well, tell me about that, because you say you were coerced into signing the note.
I was told that if I signed it, it could be negotiated later, but I needed to sign it so I could get back to work, and I was afraid of losing my job.
Okay, let's start. You were presented with this note. By whom?
By her father.
In the office?
Yes.
You signed it.
Yes. I was afraid I'd lose my job if I didn't sign it, and I needed to pay child support.
So, you had a choice of either signing the note or going to find another job, right?
Yes, let's put it that way.
Did you honestly believe, sir, that her father was going to keep you on the payroll after he found out that you were fooling around with somebody else in his business?
He told me I could.
I got a bridge I want to sell you. You're 24 years old, and you tell me that you have child support that you have to pay.
Yes.
How many children do you have?
One.
How old?
She's going to be 5.
So you were a teenager when you had this child, right?
Yes.
Were you married to the child's mother?
Yes.
Is that your only marriage?
Yes.
So you signed this note for $3,000. Is that what it was?
$3,200, yes.
And according to you, you paid some of it.
Yes.
And she acknowledges that you paid some of it.
I wrote him a receipt every time he made me a payment.
Made you a payment, but money was also deducted from his check at work.
Yes, and my father wrote him receipts. I have those. That's how they started, and I continued writing them.
Let me see the receipts. Well, the last one was in September, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a balance due of $2,294.
Correct.
And you're still suing for $3,000.
Yes.
Explain that to me.
I have a proposal I had done. He kicked holes in my wall and attempted to fix them.
When?
The last month that we were together, when he started acting really bizarre.
Before or after you had him sign this note?
Before.
Forget it. What's next?
The wedding invitations that I had to pay my mother back for.
You had ordered those invitations before this note, correct?
Yes.
Well, look, Miss Urea, we're not going to reinvent the wheel here.
I understand.
You, at a time, memorialized in writing and had him sign, your father had him sign, what he owed you as of a date certain. He, according to you, made certain payments. These are all the payments that she says she has. And do you get a copy of these receipts?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do you have any question in your mind that the last receipt indicates that the balance due was $2,294?
I believe that's what it was, yes.
Okay.
I don't have any of the stuff she wants me to pay for. I also paid for her school, which I was never reimbursed for. I figured we'd just make it even.
Well, did you have an agreement with her to pay?
A verbal agreement she was going to pay me back, yes.
Well, explain that to me.
I gave, because her father would pay for school and she got good grades. So in order to get started, she needed money to go to school, to pay for first semester, and then her father would pick it up from there.
How much did you pay?
I don't exactly know how much it was.
Well, if you Give me another reason why you don't owe this money. The first one I'm shelving. Give me another reason why you don't owe this money. The first one I'm shelving.
The whole time we were together, I was also helping her on her credit cards and stuff like that. Just from the past year, I have almost $2,500 in canceled checks and stuff to her credit cards.
So?
That's not
You both
true.
used her credit cards. You're clutching at straws, Mr. Snyder. You signed a note for $3,200. You're 24 years old. You've been married once, divorced once. You're the father of a child. That's the end of the story. If you had said to me that our father coerced you into signing this note because he took your left ankle and tied it around your right ear, right? And he was torturing you, that's against the law.
Well, you don't know her father. I mean, he has called me threatening me that he's going to come take it from me and stuff like that.
You mean when you didn't pay?
Yeah.
Well, that's a different story. When you didn't pay, I'm talking about when you signed the note. And according to you, you felt coerced into signing this note because you were afraid to lose your job.
Not only that, her father is extremely intimidating.
What do you mean is extremely intimidating, sir?
He just is. He's very
Like me?
hot-tempered.
Huh?
No, actually, he's more intimidating than you are.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Listen, you signed the note, you have an obligation to pay it. It's as simple as that. Not smart to fool around like that, Mr. Snyder. You living with anybody now, sir?
Yes.
Who?
My girlfriend?
Same girlfriend that you were
Yes.
meeting with while you were engaged to her?
At the time, there was nothing going on, but...
Just visiting? All right, what's the bottom line here? Judgment is for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,294. Thank you, that's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Parties on Hutnick versus Reese. Step forward, please.
And now the next case.
Parties on Beacon versus May. Step forward, please.
Your complaint that I don't understand. So you're going to have to explain the logistics.
Tickets that were canceled after a marital dispute.
There's a lot about your complaint that I don't understand. So you're going to have to explain the logistics of these concert tickets to me. But what I do understand from the complaint is as follows. Miss Beacon, you and your husband were socially friendly with the defendant and her now estranged husband, but then they were together. Correct?
Correct.
And you, Miss May, had a subscription, a revered subscription to the Philharmonic. Correct?
The symphony, actually, but yes.
And for many years, you sold one of your tickets to the plaintiff.
Yes.
And it was just the two of you that went together, or did the husbands go too?
No, just the two of us.
Just the ladies?
Yes.
Then, unfortunately, you and your husband separated. And it was a rather acrimonious separation. And you two ladies had a falling out because, according to these papers, you took sides with the husband over a particular event, and she got angry with you.
Correct. That's about right.
The social part of this lawsuit, I understand. It's the logistics of this subscription that I don't understand, and why you are suing her for $180. So explain it to me, Mrs. Beacon.
With regard to the cancellation of the subscription, Penelope had asked me to split the remaining tickets with her. And at this point, I was hoping to somehow fix our relationship.
Had you paid her any money for the tickets?
Yes, I had paid her $300 for the 10 concerts, and there were 6 remaining at this point.
So far, is that correct? She had given you a check for $300?
Yes.
For the 10 tickets?
Yes.
Okay.
And about a week before the next concert, I got a call from Miss May's soon-to-be ex-husband telling me that she had left the country. So I called the Performing Arts Center to get another ticket because I had one. However, because she canceled her ticket, she also canceled my ticket because they were both in her name.
But you had the tickets?
I had the tickets.
Did you go to the concert, the other 6 concerts?
I went to the other 6 concerts, yes.
But you didn't have those seats?
Correct.
Did you have to pay for the other 6 concerts?
I did not have to pay for the other 6 concerts.
But you didn't get the good seats that you had?
That is correct.
What kind of seats did you get?
They were equivalent seats. They were okay. They were fine. And this isn't as much about the money as it is the principle.
Now let me understand it. You paid for 10 tickets?
Yes.
For 10 concerts?
Correct.
$300?
Right.
You went to 10 concerts, and the seats were, although not exactly the same, according to you, equivalent?
That's right.
What's the principle?
Had I gone to the concert with my ticket, which I assumed was a valid ticket, someone else would have been sitting in my seat, had I not called.
You want to say anything?
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Miss Beacon,
Yes.
you look like a very nice lady. So I am going to try to be as calm as I can. Courts are very busy. People wait a long time to get their lawsuit heard because there are so many lawsuits filed. We have become a very litigious society, unfortunately. Your lawsuit is such a crock of baloney that I am asked to pursue a former friend who, concert-going lady, would take the time and the effort to pursue a former friend who is involved in a very acrimonious divorce, especially when you suffered no loss. So, if you suffered no loss, you have no lawsuit. And if you have a problem with principle, I suggest you take it up with your therapist. This case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy.
In need of therapy.
And now the next case.
Parties on Kelly versus Boyda. Step forward, please.
25-year-old student Mike Kelly says his ex-girlfriend, 24-year-old Nicole Boyda, won't return his possessions. Nicole claims Mike slammed her head on the floor.
Mr. Kelly, you and the defendant lived together for about 4 years, is that right?
That's correct.
According to the papers that I've read, there was some very bad altercation that you had. Some property was destroyed. You left.
Right.
You got a restraining order.
Yes, I did.
And when you left, there was some property in the defendant's possession that you say is solely yours.
That's correct.
All right, Mr. Kelly, tell me about the altercation and the property destruction.
To start, we had a really good relationship for quite a long time. Leading up to this, we hadn't been getting along for, I'd say, about a year. And what we had decided to do, or I guess what it came down to, is that I would move out and leave her the apartment that we were both living in. Within a matter of about a month, I found a place and moved out. And about 2 weeks later, I had come back to get a motorcycle and some other belongings.
Okay, so you came back after 2 weeks to get the rest of your stuff.
Right.
What happened?
I was trying to talk to Nicole. I knocked on the door. She came out. We talked for just a second, and she went back in. And I knocked again. She came out. After about the third time, I was just aggravated. There's belongings of mine in there, and I kicked the door. It broke, and I left. And I found out later that I broke it pretty well.
Okay, that she had to pay for.
Yes, she did.
Okay. It was because of that incident that you got a restraining order?
Yes. Well, there was a lot of abuse that led up to me asking Mr. Kelly to leave.
What kind of abuse?
Well, there's one incident around December of '94, which I have medical reports, where he slammed my head into, we lived in the basement, so it was a cement floor covered by carpeting. When I asked Mike to leave, it was it was the first week in February. I asked him to leave in a month. I gave him a month.
Of '97?
Yes.
Well, Miss Boyda, you just told me about something that happened in 1994. You don't expect to drag up all those things that happened in 94, 95, 96, 97, and expect to be compensated for them now, do you?
Well, most of the compensation has been from the time that the door was broken until this point. On the time he broke the door, I got the restraining order, and he continued to contact me after that. As a matter of fact, I received a postcard in the mail yesterday from Mike.
That said what?
Would you like me to present it to you?
Yes, I would.
Okay. And I also received a card from him right before the case.
I'll see both.
The reason I keep having communication is that I care about her, and there's a really good friendship there that was lost, and I wish it hadn't turned out like this. And
well, I'm looking at this postcard. I mean, this isn't a threatening postcard. He's really professing nice things to you, right?
I don't see it that way. Pulsing through my veins as if caffeine, that scares me.
Well, this is the way you hear it, that this isn't a threat or a nasty postcard. Okay, let's take a look at number 2. But listen to me, Mr. Kelly. Did you ever hear the expression, it ain't over till it's over?
I guess.
Did you ever hear that?
Yes.
It's over. Miss Boyda.
Yes,
This is a lovely card.
it is.
It's a card from somebody who still professes to have very strong feelings for you. And there's nothing threatening about it. So, he had a relationship that was 4 years long. He looks like he's a pretty decent person. You may have had arguments, whatever. He doesn't understand that it's finished.
No, he doesn't.
It's finished. Okay? Now, how much did the dog cost you, Miss Boyda?
$250.
You have a receipt for that?
Yes, I do.
Can I have it, please?
I have a check. I paid restitution to the court for that. That's what I was ordered to do, along with the restraining order.
Okay, so you paid for the door.
Yes.
So just a
It's
second, Miss
the-
Boyda, he paid for the door?
I haven't received payment for
We
it.
both talked to
Let me
the
see.
court, and it's just takes a long time.
But you sent the check in.
Yeah, I was ordered to pay it by September 1st, and I paid it August 28th. That's the only sort of written
Okay.
notification.
Yes, you
that I
did.
have.
$250, so you should be getting it. The district attorney's not going to hold on to your check.
Okay.
Cross that off my list. I don't have to do any subtraction, which makes me very happy. Now, Miss Boyda, do you have his computer?
Yes, but the computer was stolen from the University of New Mexico.
I have.
Computer is his computer?
Yes.
As between yours and his, it's his?
I would say so, yes.
Good. So you're going to return it to him. Right?
Sure.
His software and accessories that go with the
He
computer?
can have it all.
Perfect. Gas grill.
That was a gift from my father.
He can have it.
Gas grill goes back. Mr. Kelly, you have other miscellaneous items that I'm not going to ask you because I don't need a laundry list of stuff. But you do have snow skis and boots that you bought for Nicole, which she promised to repay and hasn't paid in full.
Right, correct.
Go ahead. Let me hear.
That's it. She has made payment, so obviously there was an agreement there.
How much is owed on it?
I think it's about $300. I think it's more than that, but $300.
Do you owe
would
him
be
that
fine.
money?
300.
You owe him that money? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
You really look like two nice people. And it's unfortunate that you had to come to court to resolve this stuff, which is really, after a 4-year relationship, we're not talking about much.
I guess the mistake was getting in a relationship with a good friend.
Well, sometimes good friends become the best kind of long-term relationships, lifetime ones. This one didn't work out, Mr. Kelly. And I know that you're sad about it. And I assume that Miss Boyda is sad about it also, because she also invested 4 years. So you have to move on, you know. And if it wasn't meant to be, it wasn't meant to be. There's somebody else nice out there for each of you, because you both look like, as I said, decent people. All right. Within a week of today's date, Miss Boyda, you're going to return to Mr. Kelly his computer software and accessories, his gas grill, plus pay him the $300 that you owe him that you acknowledge that you owe him for the boots. Understood? Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next judge, 1-year-old Gina Stake says she loaned her car to her 19-year-old son, Paul, who got drunk with Jamal, the 19-year-old son of Queenie Martin. Jamal wrecked the car, and Gina says Queenie should pay for the damage.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 229 on the calendar in the matter of Stake versus Martin. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, sir. Have a seat.
Oh, no. Come up here, gentlemen. This is your son, Mrs. Stake.
Yes, it is.
And Miss Martin, this is your son.
Yes, it is.
How lovely for you both. Miss Stake, you had a rental car. You let your son drive the car. He was with his friends. My reading of these papers suggests to me that both of these idiots got drunk. He drove the car. right into a pole. Right?
Correct.
You think his mom, because he's a minor, should pay for the damage to the car.
Correct.
His mom says that you know your son drinks and you shouldn't have given him the car. That's your position.
That's correct.
So that you are not responsible for the damage.
Right.
Before I ask you two ladies to sit down, I'd like just for you to give me the bills for the car, and then I'm going to deal with the young men. So the amount that you had to pay was $5,878.43.
That's the balance of it. My insurance paid $4,900.
But this is just the balance.
Correct.
Why don't you two ladies have a seat for a moment? I'll ask you to come back in a moment. Your first name is what, sir?
Paul.
Paul. And yours?
Jamal.
Now, Paul, tell me about how your mother, it came about that you asked your mother to borrow the car for the evening.
Well, it was, we all wanted to go out. He called me up. He said, what's up on the night? And I said, nothing, and got this rental car. And, you know, he wanted to go kick it. So I was like, all right, fine. You know, I told him I had no money. He said, come on now, this is Jamal.
Could you keep your voice up and try to speak slowly?
Oh, okay. He was like, come on now, this is Jamal. So I was like, all right. So he wanted to get drunk. Well, we all wanted to get drunk. So he went and bought the drink. Then after a while, we went to my...
Just a minute. So you went to your mother, and you said to your mother what?
Well, actually, she already gave me the car. She already let me use the car.
That day?
Yeah. But
What did she say when she gave you the car?
She was like, be careful. And I said, okay.
That sounds right. You said, be careful?
Yes.
So right after your mother said, be careful, you and this genius over here decided to use the car and to go and get some booze and drink, right?
Right.
And where did you decide to do that?
At my sister's house.
Your sister's house? How old is your sister?
Well, she is about 19 now.
So you decided to go to your 19-year-old sister's house with Jamal over here, and how many other people?
Just one more person, my best friend.
Now, were you drinking before you got to your sister's house? Is not an answer. In court?
No.
No is an answer. So what happened at your sister's house?
Well, I said, let's leave, you know, because he got into an argument with my sister and everybody else in the house. So I said, you know, let's leave. But by that time we decided to leave, we was already toe up. We were already drunk.
What was the word you used first? Toe up.
Toe up.
Okay, go ahead.
And so, you know, I was too intoxicated to drive, but I still said, let's go. But I wasn't going to leave just right away after I said, let's go. I was going to stay there and wait until I got sobered up. But he was like, no, you too drunk. He tried to take the keys from me. I was struggling with him because I was going to throw them to my best friend across the street. But he already got the keys from me because I was too intoxicated to hold on to the keys. But I still remember that. And after that, he just got into the car. I don't remember how I got into the car. That's the only thing I don't remember. But we got into it.
Well, if you don't remember how you got into the car, you must have been 3 sheets to the wind. Did you ever hear that expression? 3 sheets to the wind?
Nah. No.
Nah.
So...
No. Toe up, you know. Go ahead. So now you're in a car. You don't know how you got there because you were...
Toe up.
Drunk as a skunk. Right?
Yes.
What do you remember next, Paul?
All I remember is you know, I hear the car going, and next thing I know, I hear him and my best friend in the back arguing, telling him to slow down. And I did wake up and say, slow down, and then I went back.
That you remember. You don't know how you got into the car, but you remember saying, slow down.
I do remember that.
Okay. And the next thing you know, you were dancing with a pole.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
They're 2 idiots.
I agree with that. And the mother is an idiot as well.
Excuse me?
And later today,
Just a second. A bunch of guys went fishing to celebrate his wife being pregnant?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gina Stake is suing Jamal Martin's mother, Queenie, because Jamal wrecked her car. Queenie says she's not responsible, claiming Jamal only drove the car because Gina's son Paul was too drunk to drive.
Jamal!
Yes.
Let's hear from you.
Okay. On September 13th, I called him and asked him.
Let's do this. You were in his sister's house drinking.
We were outside drinking.
I stand corrected. You were outside drinking.
Mm-hmm.
What were you drinking?
A bottle of Tanqueray.
Tanqueray. That's vodka?
Gin.
Gin. Thank you.
Water.
All right, so you all get towed up. Tow up?
Toe up.
Tow up. You all get tow up, and you got into the car.
Yes.
And what happened?
While we were outside, I was talking to a friend, and I heard some yelling. When I turned around, Paul and his friend Jacoby were arguing about who was going to drive home. Now, I already knew that Paul had passed out, so I walked over to him and told him to give me the keys. There was an incident months before where he had gotten drunk, and I had drove him home before, and his mother had thanked me for it the next day.
Were you drunk
No.
then?
No, I wasn't.
Yes, but you were drunk that evening.
Yes, I was.
So you got behind the car, the wheel of the car,
Yes.
drunk,
Yes.
and hit a pole,
Yes.
and totaled the car.
Yes.
How old are you?
19.
How old are you?
18.
You go to school?
Yes.
You work after school?
No, not anymore.
Why?
Well, they had to let me go because I had to rephase a class. And
You had to what?
Rephase a class. That's taking the class over.
Why?
Because it was hard and I didn't understand it, so I had to take it over.
What about you?
No, I'm working right now.
Oh, good. That's good.
Thank you.
Now I'll have the mothers back. Consider yourselves both really lucky. I assume you do. You look like two absolutely lovely women.
Thank you.
Lovely, responsible women who really shouldn't be here today because they're too big to beat, for want of a better word. So you got to beat them financially in order to teach them a lesson, both of them. Because I agree with you that this young man is partially responsible for this bill. So is he. You agree?
I agree.
He had no business getting behind the wheel of a car.
That's true.
So he's got to pay.
I also agree, however, though, that Miss Stake is also at fault.
She knew that her son had driven before drunk.
Right.
And she was hoping it would not recur. Is that right?
I agree.
Then she's partially responsible. He's going to pay half of this bill.
And what portion is Miss Stake going to pay?
Oh, that half. That half, because it's going to take him a long time collecting cans or doing whatever he does to come up with $2,800, $2,900,
Okay.
which is what we're talking about. Bottom line is, he was the one who could have killed himself, the passengers in the car. Instead of hitting a pole, he could have hit
But who made it?
Someone crossing the street with their baby carriage
This was
instead
3
of a
o'clock
pole.
in the morning. This was 3 o'clock in the morning.
So what? Are you trying to make an excuse for him?
No, I'm just saying that no
Don't
baby,
make
no one
any
in a baby
excuse for
carriage.
him.
I am not making an excuse. I
So
have
if it
told
wasn't
him.
a baby carriage, if it was somebody
I
coming home
understand
from a
what you're
3
saying.
o'clock shift working that was crossing the street that he could have killed because he's an idiot.
Right, I understand that.
All right, good. So let's not make any excuses. I don't like excuses for one's children. When they do something stupid, you're supposed to say, my kid did something stupid.
And that's exactly what I'm saying, Your
Perfect.
Honor.
Then he's gonna
But
pay
I'm also
half.
saying that I feel that my son was a minor at the time. Her son was over 18. Yes, I am responsible for my child. Her son, who was working at the time, is responsible for himself.
Right.
Now, she sent me a letter saying that to split the difference. I sent her a letter back saying, because I feel that you are at fault as well as your son and the other gentleman in the car, I feel that the greatest burden should be paid by her and the 3 boys should split the remaining difference.
I see it differently. I see it big time differently, and I'm going to tell you why. But for the actions of your son, it is possible that that car would not have been driven that night. He didn't have to take the keys to the car and drive it. He could have said, I'm going back in the house and calling my mother and having her come and pick me up, because I'm not going to drive this car while I'm drunk. If they want to act like fools and drive the car, that's none of my business. Then you wouldn't be standing here today.
Also,
No, just a second. They're two idiots.
I agree with that. And the
All
mother
right.
is an idiot as well.
Excuse me?
I'm saying, had she not commended him, her undermining what I'm teaching my child by saying, yes, Jamal, you did a good thing driving my son home when he was drunk, maybe he wouldn't have drove this time. I'm not making an excuse, but I'm saying...
You are making an excuse, madam.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Like I said, this is all fine to me. There's no person in this world like me. I can overcome anything in this world at all. Anything.
And later today,
Tom had been consenting to drinking and driving.
Mr. Jackson, you were blotto drunk.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Miss Martin, she said to you in her letter, split the difference
And I
with
don't
me
feel it
because
should be
I am
split.
prepared to accept part of the responsibility for giving my son the car. She didn't say to you, your son was driving, therefore he's got to pay the difference. She said, I'm prepared to split the difference with you. That's assuming, on her part, a certain responsibility for allowing her idiot to drive the car in the first place. Come on, get it together, madam. $2,900. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
The money, that's not nothing. I'm still going to live out my dreams and become the richest person in 5 years. So, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like I said, this is all funny to me. They can get their money all they want to. But once they see what I become in the future, I mean, they're going to feel bad because they're not a part of it.
Well, there's somebody lying big time.
Yeah, must be, because that's what he said.
And it sure ain't me lying either.
And 39-year-old attorney Marilyn Thomason says 29-year-old Bruno Herzog owes her for rent and utilities from when they lived together. Herzog says Marilyn is harassing him because she wants him as her boyfriend.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 369 on the calendar in the matter of Thomason versus Herzog. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have seats.
Miss Thomason, this defendant, according to you, lived in your home. And when he left, he owed you money for rent, utilities, etc.
That's correct.
Do you have a two-family home, or was he living in your apartment?
I rent a large home, and he was the first roommate that I advertised for after my long-term roommate died of cancer a year ago.
So he lived in a home that you rented?
Correct.
So he had his own room?
Yes.
Own bath?
Yes.
And kitchen privileges, is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
So tell me about the rental agreement.
He answered the ad in the recycler, and we agreed on $600 a month plus 1/4 of the utilities.
Is that correct, sir?
No, it isn't, Your Honor.
Well, let's start. Did you answer an ad?
Yes, I did.
And you went to her home?
That's correct.
And what agreement did you come to?
Basically, as far as the rental agreement concerned, the rent was going to be $450 per month, and I also gave a $250 deposit at that time.
What about the utilities, sir?
The utilities were going to be fairly...
What about the utilities, sir?
The utilities were going to be fairly split.
Fairly split is not an arrangement, sir. Fairly split sounds ridiculous when you're talking between two strangers. Were you supposed to pay half the utilities, 1/4 of the utilities? What were you supposed to pay?
Basically, there was no straight agreement or arrangement on that. It was going to be split between... There was Marilyn and her 2 sons, plus her boyfriend also living there at the time.
What month did you move in?
I moved in the 1st of March.
Of this year?
That's correct.
And how many months did you live there?
I lived there for 6 months, Your Honor.
And how many months rent did you pay?
I paid 2 months rent, and at that time I had given notice of to vacate the day following.
So you paid for 2 months.
And the utilities, correct.
And you lived there for 6 months.
That's correct.
And you lived there March and April. And then you said you were leaving.
That's correct, Your Honor.
But you didn't leave.
But I did not leave.
And you stayed on for an additional 4 months and paid nothing. Why not?
At the time of notice of vacation to vacate the premises, she had given me, which I have documented, written notices and a note from her stating that it would be okay for me to stay there as long as I want for free, under no obligation to pay for rent or utilities.
Let me see the note.
Basically what I have and like to present to you
Don't
at
tell me
this time.
basically, just show
Okay.
me the note.
If I can present this to you, Your Honor.
Just the note. Show it to her, Bird, would you please?
That's one of several notes. I had a little trouble
Just a
communicating with him, so I wrote notes.
I just want to see what it says here. Why did you give her notice that you were leaving, sir?
It was a very uncomfortable situation for me from the very beginning. I just felt it was appropriate for me to leave. I just, it was just an unbearable situation in the house.
Okay. Tell me why it was an unbearable situation.
Basically, the first and foremost reason was the harassment that I've been receiving from her to somehow come into a physical relationship with her.
You mean from the time you moved in?
That's correct.
March and April.
That's correct.
And it was unbearable.
It was
According to
somewhat
you just said to
uncomfortable.
me
it
it
was
was-
something uncomfortable and unbearable. Yes, Your Honor.
So you stayed on, you moved in March, you stayed in April. And after this unbearable situation, you stayed May, June, July, and August for another 4 months.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Why?
Basically, she had, we had spoken and she had agreed that she was going to try to basically stop some of the inappropriate comments that she had made. I also have a note stating to my mother that she had made sexually indiscreet comments and
Like
harassing
what?
comments.
Like what?
She would say, she'd note to her friends, "This is my little houseboy, he lives here, isn't he cute?" She would tell her friends to come over when I was around. She'd say things like, it'd be great if you wouldn't wear a shirt around the house. You have such a great body. Just a lot of small remarks like that. I mean, there's some photos.
Slowly she turned.
There's some photos here that I have.
Mr. Herzog.
Yes.
If a big guy like you doesn't like the heat, then you get out of the kitchen. Sounds to me, that's what it means. Unbearable. So you leave. Leave. If a situation is unbearable, that's what it means. Unbearable. So you leave. You didn't leave. You sponged.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Your beauty is going to go one day, sir. I know you must think you're a very handsome man and you can get away with murder. But anybody who can twist the truth like you can is not good looking in my eyes.
And later today,
I'm not a criminal. This is the first thing I've ever been in trouble for in my life. This has taken up way too much of my time already.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Attorney Marilyn Thomason is suing Bruno Herzog for unpaid rent and utilities. Bruno is countersuing Marilyn for sexual harassment.
Show me the rent receipts for May, June, July, and August. Show me your canceled checks to her in the amount of, let's say, your amount, $450 a month.
Okay, excuse me, Your Honor. Basically, the two things that I have here is I have, in the lawsuit, it states from the plaintiff that she states that there is a written agreement. In fact, she refused to ever provide me with a rental agreement.
Mr. Herzog, what word that I just said didn't you understand? Show me the rent receipts from May, June, July, and August.
That's also part of the situation that I have here is that in the beginning, there was cash paid to her. I had asked for receipts on that on several occasions. That was refused to me. I felt that she said to me this was for...
so is what you're telling me, Mr. Herzog, that you paid her in cash?
That's correct.
And you didn't get a receipt?
That's correct, Your Honor, and I had asked for that
You are
time
one
and time
lying
again.
sucker. You just told me no more than 5 minutes ago that you didn't pay her anything for those 4 months. And now you say you paid her, but you paid her in cash?
Yes, Your Honor, and I also have a statement from her in a
You
response...
just told me you didn't pay her for 4 months. And you told me the reason you didn't pay her for 4 months is because she volunteered for you to stay there for free.
That was...
What is it? Did you pay her or did you not?
Your Honor, I paid her for the month, March and April rent.
That's not what I asked you, sir. I said, show me the receipts for May, June, July, and August.
I have no receipts for those, Your Honor.
Because you didn't pay her for those months.
That's correct.
Right. So you owe her for those months. Because if something is so unbearable that you can't live there because you don't like the fact that she is making these suggestive statements to you, you're a big boy whose feet aren't planted in cement, you pick yourself up and you leave.
Well, Your Honor, through conversation with her, I felt that this problem would be resolved. She is an attorney, and I felt that she would understand as far as the relationship goes as a roommate, and there was going to be no physical or relationship
So
ever
did
in
it
there.
stop?
The harassment?
Did it stop?
It did stop for some time, Your Honor.
For how much time, sir?
It would be hard to say. I mean, there was comments made left and right, but maybe for the first month after that, it seemed to be, she seemed to work on it.
Mr. Herzog, what do you do for a living, sir?
I am self-employed. I own a business.
What kind of business do you own, sir?
It's a manufacturing business.
What kind of manufacturing?
We manufacture snowboards.
Snowboards. Mr. Herzog, did you ever hear the expression, beauty fades, dumb is forever?
Yes, I have.
Your beauty is going to go one day, sir. I know you must think you're a very handsome man and you can get away with murder, but I'm telling you, I do not find you particularly attractive. Maybe it's because I'm too old. I don't think so. But anybody who can twist the truth like you can is not good looking in my eyes. Now, if this lady had a thing for you, I don't know, maybe she's desperate. Who knows? In any event, you can't stand there as a man and tell me that you were so offended by the way your landlord was treating you, you stayed on for 4 months but didn't pay her any rent. You want to say something?
If I may.
About what?
About the sexual harassments that
Who are you?
I am Heidi Britton.
How do you know him?
He is my brother.
Where do you live?
I live in Laguna Beach.
Why didn't he live with you?
Because I'm an opera singer and I travel around the world.
Wonderful. So you must have an apartment that's free a lot.
No.
That's vacant a lot.
No, I have a husband.
Well, if the situation with your brother, madam, was so unbearable in his residence, and you, as his sister, who clearly cares about him, did not say, while it's so unbearable there, living with this lady and her 2 children, come and live with me, you're not much of a sister. Now you tell me whatever you want to tell me.
First day I met Marilyn, she had made comments about what a good-looking body, what, does he have a girlfriend? Is there anything that you can do to help me? I'm interested in basically, and I'd like to have a relationship with him.
So?
I told him no, that he had been seeing someone and that was inappropriate. I thought, he's my brother. I don't know you. I'm not going to divulge information or share information, which if he wanted you to know something, he would tell you something.
So what?
On other occasions, she had said to me, I really want Bruno to stay here. I'd like to be involved with him. I was out in the yard with his cats with Bruno. She said, I'll pay him to stay here. I really like Bruno. He'd be a...
So did you think that was all very sick?
I thought that was very, very sick.
Very
and
sick.
In fact, I had assisted and started looking for other locations for my brother.
If you thought it was all very sick, why would you allow your brother to stay?